According to a study done by Smart Asset, in order for an individual to live comfortably in San Antonio, they need to make at least $85,000 a year. For a family of four, they need to be making at least $200,000 a year. Comfortably means to abide by the financial guideline of the 50-30-20 rule, which stipulates 50% of your income goes towards needs such as housing, food, 30% of your income goes towards entertainment and fun excursions, and the remaining 20% of your income goes towards debts and investments. However, that same study was done the previous year also by Smart Asset, and they stipulated that it was you needed $59,000 a year for an individual to live comfortably. That is a 43% jump just in the span of 1 year. The comfortable salary jumped 43%. However, did anyone see a 43% increase in their income? 17.7% of San Antonians are in poverty. We are the second largest city in Texas. 74.4% of those in poverty are families, including 62.2% which are single parent poverty families, and 52.7% are single moms, and 9.5% are single dads. I chose this topic because I recently moved to an area where on my commute to work, I bypass a lot of lower income areas. However, when I go over to the next block, there's $1 million homes and the Pearl. San Antonio is rapidly developing. We are all residents here, and unless we live rent-free at our parents' house, please tell me your ways. Money is a very relevant topic and scary sometimes to speak about at the dinner table. I propose that the government enact a universal basic income. To better explain, I am going to go over the minimum wage, the pandemic, and the basis of how it would be enacted. Minimum wage currently is $7.25. This is unchanged since 2009. So let's say if a person is working 40 hours a week, before tax, they're making $290. A month, they're making $1,160. And according to rent market trends, the average one-bedroom apartment is $1,091. That hardly leaves any room for money for groceries, toiletries, certainly not gas to get to work. These numbers hardly keep up with the times, especially with a comfortable salary increase of just 43% in just a year. This makes you think about when I lived in a one-bedroom apartment in 2021, the rent was $750. However, when researching how much that same apartment is now, it is $1,100 today. That is just within a 3-year span. The minimum wage, however, has stayed the same. Now that we've discussed the current minimum wage, let's discuss why I believe enacting a UBI, Universal Basic Income, would motivate the workforce. Some speculate that enacting a universal basic income would cause for laziness. I argue it would motivate people to go back to work. Since the pandemic, many families have chosen to have one parent stay at home due to the rising cost of living and to save by not having to pay for childcare. This is a huge sacrifice to live on just one stream of income. The average cost of childcare is $17 an hour. Now, as we discussed, the minimum wage being $7.25 per hour, if you're making minimum wage, you're definitely not paying for childcare. So what are those individuals doing for their children? With universal basic income, I believe it would incentivize those people to go back to work. According to the Scientific American, the tax credit of 2020 got 3.7 million children out of poverty without significantly reducing parents' work. If parents aren't worried about making ends meet, then their mental health will be better. A study that was done in Finland shows that with the UBI, they have fewer health issues, yet similar employment outcomes. Now that we've discussed the problems that could be helped with the UBI, I call that the government to enact a universal basic income. Now, when the thought of a universal basic income has been about, it was discussed that it would be $1,000 basic a month plus a $500 credit for children. Democratic candidate Andrew Yang in 2020 used UBI as a key pillar in his campaign. By doing that, more light was shed and prompted on the topic of the UBI and prompted more studies and research. In 2023, OpenAI and University of Pennsylvania did a working paper and came to the conclusion of 80% of workforce would have at least a 10% affection rate by AI alone. UBI would offset poverty by supplementing that number alone. $1,000 wouldn't offset taxpayers according to a study done by the University of North Carolina due to still being beneficial. But it was also proposed not to add taxes but to impose a 10% value-added tax on businesses and or cutting some programs that wouldn't be needed if the universal basic income was enacted. As discussed, the cost of living has risen while salaries are the same. The poverty in San Antonio is also rising at an increasing rate due to gentrification. San Antonio is becoming more expensive, yet no pay to supplement that. Enacting a UBI will increase the work ethic, motivate the people, and put children back in school, eventually lowering the poverty in San Antonio. You can support by donating or advocating. There is a website called citizen-network.org that has different ways to get involved advocating for a UBI. Thank you, and I call for the government to enact a UBI.